The girl Ting is only 11 years old, but she wears 10 pairs of underwear every night. Ting thought that he would not be hurt by Joe. At night, while Betsy was asleep, Joe quietly extended his evil hand to Ting. The bell swinging on the bed was Ting's cry for help, but the mother Betsy lying on the bed was still indifferent, because Betsy didn't have the courage to resist the man at all. The next day, when the mother was tidying the quilt for her daughter, she found dirt on the bedsheet, but she didn't say anything more. She just turned around and brought a towel to clean up the mess. However, things like this happen almost every night, but my mother just cleans silently every time and dare not say a word at all. The naive daughter thought her mother didn't know what happened last night, so Ting told her mother about it, but Ting not only did not get help and comfort, but was beaten by his angry mother with a stick. Ting cries and begs for mercy, but her mother still doesn't stop. It wasn't until Ting fell to the ground and fainted that the mother realized the seriousness of the matter, but before he was sent to the hospital, Ting had already lost his life. When the doctor checked Ting's body, he found that there were many scars on Ting's body, and even his lower body was severely torn. If it hadn't been violated all the year round, it would be impossible to cause such serious injuries. Hearing the doctor's diagnosis, the police present were extremely shocked. What kind of scumbag could do such a heartless thing? In order to bring the murderer to justice, they quickly came to Ting's house. At this point, Joe is destroying evidence. Fortunately, the police found out in time and kept the videotape inside. After technical restoration, they found that it was full of Joe's violence. With sufficient evidence, Joe was quickly arrested and imprisoned, and Betsy could not escape the crime and was put into the interrogation room. Betsy confessed to killing her daughter by mistake, but never admitted that her daughter was violated by Joe. The female policeman suddenly became furious. Her own daughter was dead, and she was still defending her husband. The female policeman turned the air conditioner to below zero, asked Betsy to take off her clothes, and let her stand naked in the cold wind. Next, take a pitcher of cold water and pour it over Betsy's body. Although Betsy was shivering from the cold, she still refused to admit that her daughter was violated by her husband. The female policeman smashed his head with the file, and then took out a gun to threaten him. The woman was so frightened that she knelt down and begged for mercy, but still claimed that she knew nothing. The policewoman had no choice but to take out Ting's photos and put them in front of Betsy one by one, so that she could see her daughter's death with her own eyes. Then a video of her husband and daughter was played in front of her. Seeing all kinds of behaviors her husband did to her daughter, Betsy dared not look directly. The policewoman forcibly opened Betsy's eyes and forced her to watch the whole process. At this point, Betsy was in tears. Once her daughter asked Betsy for help, but Betsy not only failed to provide help, but even killed her own daughter by mistake. At this point, Betsy finally realized her mistake. The policewoman's emotions gradually lost control, and the interrogation could only be terminated after Betsy was put in prison. She planned to end her life in prison. Fortunately, the prison guards in front of the monitoring saw this scene and sent her to the hospital in time. After experiencing life and death once, Betsy has already figured out a lot at this time, and then confessed everything to the policewoman. It turned out that she was also a miserable woman. She was raped by her stepfather since she was a child. She thought she could escape when she grew up, but she didn't expect that she married a bad man and endured her husband's perverted habits. Unbearable. She finally ran to Hong Kong and married her current husband, but she never expected that her current husband is also a scumbag, and that's why what happened next happened. At the end of the movie, Betsy was sentenced to 7 years for manslaughter, while Joe was sentenced to 18 years. After watching the whole movie, you may think that poor people must be hateful, but I think the women in the play have lived in such a family since they were young, and they inevitably carry a kind of thinking that men are superior to women, born to be a man's accessory. That's why it led to a series of subsequent hardships, which is simply sad and deplorable.